So today I'm going to cover the service modeling guidelines. In my previous two lectures, we have seen the service oriented analysis part 1 and part 2. And today I'm going to cover the service modeling guidelines. In part 2, we have covered the detailed different 12 steps involved in service oriented modeling. So service modeling is divided into 12 steps. We have seen in the last video. So in service oriented analysis, we have seen that this service oriented analysis is divided into three major steps. The first step is define business requirement. So the end user provide you the business requirement, and based on that business requirement, you are developing the web services. So after defining the business requirement, the second step is identifying the automation systems. So that business requirements are again converted into the web services, and these web services again, the logic required for that web service is again identified. So identifying the automation system, second step. And the third step is model candidate service. So to model the candidate service, we have seen that the requirement collected, then automation logics means steps, scenarios are again identified. And after identifying the scenarios, that web service is again diagrammatically represented with the help of activity diagram or flow chart is used for representing or modeling the web service. So at the time of modeling, you have to follow certain guidelines. It's a small topic, but equally important from the exam point of view. So examiner asks the short note topic on this particular topic, service modeling guidelines. So while modeling the services, what guidelines as a developer or as a system analyst or a service architecture you have to follow. So let us see the service modeling guidelines one by one. So this service modeling guidelines it gives you the set of guidelines. So it provides the set of guidelines that supplement, that adds the previous modeling process with some additional consideration. So at the time of analysis, at the time of modeling, the guideline helps the user. This guideline provides the additional consideration related with modeling phase. So at the time of modeling phase, this service modeling guidelines gives the additional input to the developer or the system analyst or the architect. So let us see the guidelines one by one. So there are many guidelines, and out of that many guidelines, the first guideline highlights that take into account the potential cross-process reusability. So we are developing different processes, web services for different processes. And here the web service is again reused in different processes. So take into account the potential cross-process reusability of logic being encapsulated. So the cross-process reusability means two different processes uses the same business logic. So two different processes use a single web service logic while analysis. So take into account potential cross-process reusability of logic being encapsulated. So identifying the real opportunity for reuse is an important consideration. So while analyzing the web services, so keep in our mind that whenever we are analyzing the web service, that web service must fulfill this particular principle, reusability principle. So when grouping the operation candidate into service candidate, so you identify the operations, and based on that operation, you design the web service. And after that, these operations you can integrate through the web service candidate, because the analysis process is not yet completed. Therefore, I have used the word service candidate. Instead of service candidate word is used. It introduced the potential leveraging the existing unit of business logic and creating a modularized enterprise business model. So you develop the web services into small modules so that whenever the end user gives you the requirement, so with the help of these small web services, you group these small web services so that your the end user requirement is fulfilled within a time, and within a time you are able to provide that service in quick time. You are providing the service to your end user with the help of this reusability features. So let us see this particular for the first guidelines with the help of the diagram or with the help of example. So take into account potential cross process reusability of logic being encapsulated. So take the our banking example. So in our banking example, same example I'm again using. That example I have explained in the first part of our analysis process, the banking example. So see here, the balance inquiry service is developed in a such a way that same balance inquiry service is integrated. This service logic, balance inquiry service logic is integrated across withdrawal service. So at the time of withdrawal, your balance changes, your balance update. So you require the balance inquiry service along with withdrawal service. So you are depositing some amount in the bank. So at the time of depositing some amount in the bank, you are reusing the balance inquiry service. So your balance increases at the time of deposit. So you require the balance information. So balance inquiry service is also reused at the time of deposit service. Then money transfer. Money transfer is a different process. Deposit is a different process. Withdrawal is a different process. So across the processes, you reuse the logic of balance inquiry service. So at the time after transferring the money, your balance decreases. So you require your balance, the current balance information after transferring the money to the user. So balance inquiry service is again reused after money transfer service. So withdrawal service, deposit service, money transfer service reuse the logic of balance inquiry service. So this is what the first guideline. So service logic being reused across different processes. The second guideline is consider the potential intra-process reusability of logic being encapsulated. So across the processes, you are reusing the web service logic. Service logic is reused across the different processes, but you can reuse the process logic within the service. So within a single business process, you are reusing the service logic. So worth mentioning is the ability of a unit of business logic to be reused within a single business process. A single business process. Suppose take the example. We have already developed the attendance API. In the attendance API, the student is giving the attendance with the help of attendance API. But that attendance API just provide the address that your attendance is provided successfully. Your attendance record is again stored successfully, but you are not getting the display of the attendance. And for that, we have to open the DynamoDB table. But suppose I have integrated that attendance system with the you are storing your attendance with the help of API, and after that, if I have integrated the reporting service, so after adding your attendance, I am showing that attendance record in that particular form itself. That process is called as intra-process reusability. So after storing the attendance, your record is displayed in the same form. So that is what that is called as the intra-process reusability. So let us see with the help of the example. So service lodging being reused within a process. So you design the GUI. Here I am designing the GUI with the help of the application layer. So application layer is used for writing the business means client application. So I am writing the client application in Java, PHP or ASP.NET and I am designing the GUI. So designing the GUI, I am designing the attendance GUI and same time after recording, after inserting that post method, I am retrieving the record from the DynamoDB table and I am displaying that record to the end user in a same form. So that is called as the service logic being reused within a single process. So single process is used for adding the record as well as showing the record. So two web services included in a one web service. Then the third guidelines, model for cross application reuse. So whenever you are developing the web service, the application service candidate, so the client, so the web service framework is divided into two types, the web service provider and service requester. So we are discussing about the service requester, the client. So model for cross application reuse. The client can access your web service. You have developed the web service, suppose in ASP.NET, then your client can write the different application, cross application. So that client can be able to write the call your ASP.NET service in PHP, in Python, in Java. So the client is free to use your web service in different technologies. So cross application reuse is also one of the requirement of service modeling guidelines. So your services, your service is called in called with the help of different application. For example, ASP.NET service is again called with the help of PHP or Python or Java itself. So this is what the third modeling guidelines. So a model for cross application reuse. The fourth guideline is speculate on further decomposition requirement. Whenever you are developing the web service, you are decomposing the web service into small pieces. So you are ready with the web service and still search the still give some time for decomposition. Means suppose I have developed one web service and that web service is further decomposed or not, so you give some time on that particular service that service is further decomposed. If the answer is yes, then decompose. If the answer is no, then you stop there. So speculate on further decomposition requirement. So while developing the web services, as and when the requirement is received, so you are developing the web services immediately and you are not concentrating on the decomposition method. So if whenever you are developing any web service, if the development is completed, then speculate on further decomposition requirement. If you ask the question to that particular web service, that service is further decomposed. If the answer is yes, then you decompose. So that in future, if the end user gives you the new requirement, in that case, you can reuse that decomposed service. So speculate on further decomposition requirement. And if you get the answer yes, then you decompose that service. If you receive the answer no, then you stop there. Then the fifth modeling guidelines is identify logical unit of work with explicit boundaries. So you define the boundary. So you define the boundary. So every service need to be autonomous. Autonomous means independent. That service is not dependent on any other service. So you develop a service in such a way that that service fulfills the autonomous principle or characteristics. That service is not dependent on any other web service. So you develop the independent service, so that that independent service may be, means that service is executed separately as well as in group. So identify logical unit of work with explicit boundary. So need to be autonomous. So develop the autonomous web services. These services not depend on any other web services. So developing the autonomous services, developing the reusable services. So with the help of service modeling guidelines, we are fulfilling the characteristics of service oriented architecture. The sixth modeling guideline is target a balanced model. Target a balanced model. So you are modeling the web services, means you are analyzing and you are representing with the help of diagram. So at the time of modeling, target a balanced model. So services rarely are modeled to perfection, because we know that end user requirements are never satisfied. The end user always gives you some new requirement, so that the previous service is obsolete and you are working on new service, because the end user requirement changes time to time. Therefore, target a balanced model. So services rarely are modeled for perfection. This is not the case. In some cases, the services are modeled perfectly. You can use the services long term. So gold rate, then currency conversion. So these services you can use long term basis. But in some cases, the services changes as per the end user requirement changes. So target a balanced model. The last modeling guideline is classify the service modeling logic. You classify the service modeling logic. Use a system of categorizing the services based on their scope and role. You are decomposing the web services. So decomposition process is used, and after decomposition, categorizing the services based on their scope and role. So after the decomposition process is over, you are using the top down or bottom up or agile approach for development delivery strategy. And after that, whenever you are developing the web services, individual web services, you categorize the services based on their scope and role, so that whenever the user required any service, you are providing the visual copy easily to the end user. So classify the service modeling logic based on the category. So categorization of services based on their scope and role. So this is what the seventh modeling guidelines. So we have to follow these modeling guidelines at the time of completion of analysis phase. So in the third phase of analysis, service modeling phase, we have to give some time on service modeling. We have to follow, we have to include these guidelines. We have to think on the guidelines at the time of service modeling. So today I am covering this particular topic. So in the next lecture, I am starting the new topic. I am covering one case study on service oriented analysis and designing phase. So in the next lecture, video lecture, I am covering one case study on service oriented analysis and designing phase. So stay tuned today. So I am sign out.